We have Trip Chaudhary, Managing Director, Equity Research, Global Equity Research with us. Now, Trip, good morning. Hi, this is Harsh here. Good having you. Trip, how are you seeing the NVIDIA numbers, not just in terms of how they've been disclosed in this quarter? How are you seeing it going forward? Clearly, the commentary seems pretty robust. Can the outperformance continue?
I think you have set up a very good stage for the conversation. I think the numbers that NVIDIA came up were very good, and the guidance was very good. But you asked how long will this sort of euphoria last? I think it will take us till the end of this year, and probably for the next, say, middle of January. But I think the concerns will again crop up regarding the bubble narrative that you mentioned. I think for right now, it has been pushed out by about 6 or 7 weeks before it comes back again.
But Trip, I think the bigger talking point is also, the segmental breakup, so to speak, that Jensen Huang talked about. And, the data center opportunity, the fact that on a sequential basis, that business has done so well, aside of course, the chips. Wanted to draw it down to the India Connect. Because in India, when you try and draw down and play on the AI theme, it's only data centers so far. Do you think one should sort of connect what's happening in the US right now with regards to the surge in data centers and then play on that theme here in India as well?
See, I would say this is a very irrational extrapolation of the fundamentals, if you think about it from a pure fundamental point of view. The idea is, if you think about data center, but itself doesn't mean anything. If you think in terms of AI infrastructure, then you have to further segment into 3-4 parts. Is it a training infrastructure, or is it an inference infrastructure, or is it the app infrastructure? So if you think from this all perspective, you will realize that you can't just paint the whole industry by a single brush. But many people want this simplification of investment thesis to somehow make money out of it, but that is not the right approach. The way to think about it, let me tell you one critical point so that you understand the markets do become irrational. The world's biggest sensation in the AI space happened yesterday when Google launched Google Gemini 3. Both the inference and training for Gemini 3, which has a context length of 1 million tokens, real sensation, overtakes OpenAI and Meta. That's the thrust behind Google Gemini version 3. And none of that training or inference happened on NVIDIA GPUs. It happened on the proprietary tensor processing unit, TPUs, that Google makes on its own. So that, I'm just giving a dose of rationality. But, the markets are irrational. People try to jump to conclusions and try to fit every stupid thing into a certain framework. So, it will happen. And I think this irrationality will now occur for the next 6 weeks. And then again, the market will try to find some rationality and the market will sell off. So that's the real way to look at the industry and the segments.
Good morning, Trip. Sajid here. You're right. But, do you think that the NVIDIA run-up with respect to the kind of revenue growth it's been posting quarter after quarter, or, the earnings EPS doubling every year, that is now going to get moderated given the fact that, the reasons that you mentioned that, Google came out with its own CPUs, and the China factor is not getting factored in the entire AI discussion here?
Yeah, let me give you another frame framework if you want, so that you can, really have your audience understand that. If you broadly break up AI industry, there are three layers you have to think about. One is the foundational layer, which is very highly intensive, where you make the foundational models, where the investments are really in millions of dollars to get the models trained. And then you have the builder stack, in which you write AI applications, agent workflows, and everything. And then you have a distribution layer, where the models or the end applications are distributed, just like recently Google made their relationship with Reliance Jio, where the users of Geos are going to get Gemini AI and few other applications from Google free for about 18 months or so. Now, if you look at the industry from these three layers, then the foundational layer, the only two countries who really work in that layer, it's USA and China, who are making foundational models. To my best knowledge, not a single foundational model has come out of India or other parts of the world. So if you think about NVIDIA numbers, it's all about foundational layer, which is all USA. Then we are making this huge jump in investment thesis and trying to fit in some data center theme, which is incorrect. But you can't build rationality to a mindset which is trying to oversimplify the industry. That's the reason the narrative of bubble comes in, and that's the reason the markets are volatile, because there's a fundamental people can't understand what is an AI, and they can't segment and see where is the winner. If you ask me, and if you can do your own research, which company in the whole world, if you think from application level and go back, has a real AI business model? It is only Google. Meta doesn't have a real business model. OpenAI doesn't have a real AI business model. They will never. Anthropic doesn't have a real AI business model. So it's a matter of time but that matter of time is not within next 6 weeks. When we really talk about .com bubble bursting, the equivalent of that will happen probably in a couple of years. But while that is going to happen, there are opportunities to make money in the market. And right now, I think the money to be made in the market are the companies who have a real business model. Now, you're talking about India aspect. If I have to extrapolate it, I don't know much about the India, but the idea is, if I explain that Google has a real AI business model, work down from there and say, okay, Google has relationship with Reliance Jio. Maybe Reliance Jio is an AI player. But thinking in terms of data center and in India, by the way, which is not even making a single foundational model, and trying to somehow figure out a way to make money, it's just like storytelling without any fundamentals in it. So it's a risky. But if somebody's promoting that narrative, then it has to be you have to make sure that you're the first one who listens to it and not the last one, so that at least there's a bigger fool who will believe that story before you. So that's the thing.
Right, that's why we have you for all the insight, don't we, Trip? But just very quickly, Trip, you've been, tracking the Indian IT services sector for many years now. Where do they fall in the race?
No, this is a very good question you have asked. I've seen it. See, the reason that I feel a little frustrated with the Indian IT services companies, because when Indian IT services companies started, they created the industry. The whole idea of IT services and business process outsourcing, these were the industries that India created. People were flying into Bangalore. People were flying into various parts of India, including Gurgaon. I still remember there was a company called Daksh, which I used to bring about 100, 200 investors from USA to show them what is a BPO in Daksh, which was acquired by IBM. That happens when you create the industry. You're the leader. You create the thought. And if you look at India today, it is just copy C2I, copy to India. Whatever happens here, they copy it. So if that's the thought process, India will never be a leader. It will just be an imitator. And that's the problem. If you talk about AI, the question to ask is, what is a new idea that has come from India, which is as powerful as an industry creation activity like Narayan Murthy had it? He was the icon. Narayan Murthy would sneeze, the whole world would catch cold. Do we have any of those Indian entrepreneurs right now? You can call Ambani and Adani or whatever their names are. But remember, they are popular because of the wealth, not because of the intellectual horsepower or industry creation activity these guys have done. So we don't have the same level of industry creation activity. It is just an imitation. It is just like what China has been doing for the last 30, 40 years, copying everything from Silicon Valley to China, but they improved it a lot. Now, we can't have that attitude. That's my personal thinking. When we think about AI, it is the some entrepreneurs who should really craft a definition.
Right.
IT services companies, I think that run has happened. We can't expect a groundbreaking thing. It is just like you have an old car, it will take you from A to B. But you need Ferraris, not one, two, but a whole, fleet of it.
That's
coming
a very
from all
interesting
parts of
perspective.
India.
Right. Okay, Trip, thank you. Thank you for coming in and speaking to us. This is of course lots of food for thought.